Every single day, we wake up and step onto a battlefield, not a battlefield of weapons and soldiers, but one of choices, small, seemingly insignificant choices that determine the course of our lives. We tell ourselves, I'll do it later. But later never comes. Procrastination is the silent dream killer. It whispers excuses and gives us permission to wait. But what if, instead of waiting, we just start it? Not perfectly, not completely, just one step. Momentum isn't built in a day, but it begins in a moment. The words we speak to ourselves shape our reality. I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. I don't have what it takes. These are not truths. These are stories we tell ourselves, and stories can be rewritten. The battle is won when we replace doubt with belief, hesitation with action, and fear with purpose. Comfort is easy. Growth is hard. Every day we face a choice: do what is easy or do what will make us better. The danger of comfort is that it feels good in the moment, but robs us of our future. The only way forward is to push ourselves, to lean into discomfort, and to embrace the challenge. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will agree with your decisions, and that's okay. The need for approval is a battle because it keeps us from making bold choices. The truth is, the most successful people are not the ones who seek to please everyone. They are the ones who remain true to their mission. Fear will always be there. It's part of being human. But fear only has power if we let it stop us. The people who change the world aren't fearless, they simply choose to act despite their fear. And so must we. Each of these habits, procrastination, self-doubt, comfort, approval seeking, and fear, is a battle. The good news, we don't have to win all at once. We just have to win today, and then tomorrow, and the next day. Because in the end, success doesn't come from a single big moment. It comes from the small, daily victories we choose to fight for. We tell ourselves, I'll do it later. But later never comes. It's a convenient excuse, a way to push responsibility onto a future version of ourselves. But the truth is that future version is just another version of you who will likely feel the same way. Procrastination is deceptive. It disguises itself as harmless delay, but in reality, it's the silent thief of progress. Think about how many times you've had an idea, a goal, or a task that you knew was important, but kept putting off. Maybe it was starting a new project, having a difficult conversation, or making a change you knew you needed. At first, the delay seemed insignificant, just a small postponement. But days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and suddenly, the thing you once wanted so badly has faded into the background. Not because you weren't capable, but because hesitation stole the momentum before it could even begin. Procrastination is not just about time management, it's about fear, doubt, and resistance. When we avoid taking action, it's often because we fear failure. We think, what if I try and it doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? So instead of confronting that fear, we tell ourselves we'll do it later when we're ready. But readiness is an illusion. There is no perfect moment. The people who succeed aren't the ones who wait until they feel ready. They're the ones who start despite the fear, despite the uncertainty. Consider the times when you finally take an action on something you've been delaying. The moment you actually started, you probably realized that it wasn't as difficult as you had imagined. The hardest part wasn't the task itself, it was overcoming the mental resistance that kept you from beginning. The first step is always the most difficult because it requires breaking through inertia. Once you start, you gain momentum, and the thing that once seemed overwhelming begins to feel possible. The human brain is wired to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. That's why procrastination feels good in the short term. It gives us temporary relief from stress, uncertainty, and effort, but that relief is fleeting. Because while we might distract ourselves with entertainment, social media, or busy work, deep down, we know we are avoiding something important. And that knowledge creates guilt, anxiety, and frustration. We might tell ourselves that we work better under pressure, that we need the deadline to be close in order to be productive. But what we're really doing is forcing ourselves into a cycle of stress and last-minute panic. Procrastination isn't just a personal struggle, it affects relationships, careers, and opportunities. How many people have missed out on life-changing experiences because they kept waiting for the right time? How many businesses were never started, books never written, and ideas never executed because someone told themselves, I'll do it tomorrow? The cost of procrastination is not just the time lost, it's the dreams that never materialized, the potential never realized. The way to defeat procrastination isn't through sheer willpower, it's through action. Small, imperfect action. The moment we stop waiting for motivation and start moving, we take back control. Motivation doesn't create action, action creates motivation. We don't need to feel inspired to begin. We need to begin to feel inspired. One of the most effective ways to break the cycle of procrastination is by focusing on just the first step. Not the entire project, not the overwhelming big picture, just one small action that moves us forward. If you've been putting off writing something, don't think about writing the whole thing, just start with one sentence. If you've been avoiding a workout, don't commit to an hour at the gym, just put on your shoes and step outside. The moment you take that first action, you shift your mindset from avoidance to progress. Another strategy is creating accountability. When we make a commitment to someone else, we're more likely to follow through. Whether it's a friend, a coach, or a mentor, having someone who holds us to our word can be the push we need. It's easy to break a promise to ourselves, but it's much harder to break a promise to someone who expects us to show up. Procrastination also thrives on distractions. In today's world, it's easier than ever to avoid doing meaningful work because there are infinite ways to distract ourselves. Social media, endless scrolling, notifications, all of these things are designed to pull our attention away. If we want to win the battle against procrastination, we need to control our environment. That means eliminating distractions, setting boundaries, and creating spaces that encourage focus. It's important to recognize that procrastination is not a reflection of laziness. People who procrastinate often care deeply about what they're avoiding. That's the paradox. Sometimes the more we care, the more we delay because we want to do it right. But perfectionism is just another disguise for fear. We tell ourselves we need more time to prepare, to research, to refine, but what we really need is to take the first step. Think about the moments in your life when you've accomplished something meaningful. They didn't happen by accident. They happened because at some point you made a choice to take action. And that choice, repeated over time, became momentum. The battle against procrastination is not a one-time victory. It's a daily fight. Some days we win. Some days resistance gets the best of us. But what matters is that we keep showing up, keep taking small steps, and keep moving forward. Because every great achievement, every success story, every breakthrough begins with one thing: the decision to start. The way we speak to ourselves determines the way we show up in the world. Every day, there is a conversation happening in our minds, a voice that either lifts us up or tears us down. That voice is powerful. It shapes our beliefs, influences our decisions, and ultimately defines our future. But the problem is, for most people, that voice isn't encouraging, it's critical, doubtful, and full of hesitation. It tells us we're not ready, that we don't have what it takes. It reminds us of our past mistakes, makes us question our worth, and keeps us from stepping into our full potential. And the worst part, we don't even question it. We accept these thoughts as truth, as if they are facts rather than fears. But they are not facts, they are habits. And like any habit, they can be changed. Negative self-talk doesn't always sound loud or dramatic. It often whispers quietly in the background of our thoughts, influencing our choices without us even realizing it. We hesitate to speak up in a meeting because we think, what if my idea isn't good enough? We avoid taking risks because we tell ourselves I'll probably fail anyway. We let opportunities pass us by because we believe someone else is better suited for this than I am. These thoughts become a pattern, and over time, that pattern creates a life where we play small, where we settle for less than we are capable of. The truth is, we are not born with negative self-talk. No child hesitates before taking their first step because they think, what if I look stupid? What if I'm not good at walking? They just try. And when they fall, they don't think, well, I guess I'm just not meant to walk. They get back up and try again. But somewhere along the way, we learn to doubt ourselves. Maybe it was a comment from someone we looked up to, a failure that embarrassed us, or a belief we absorbed from the world around us. And once that doubt takes root, it becomes a loop, one that plays over and over until it feels like reality. But here's the thing, just because a thought is familiar doesn't mean it's true. Just because we've told ourselves something 1,000 times doesn't mean we have to keep believing it. If we want to change our lives, we must first change the way we speak to ourselves. The first step is awareness. Most of us don't even realize how often we criticize ourselves because it has become automatic. But when we start paying attention, we begin to see the pattern. We notice how often we use words like, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to. And once we see it, we have the power to change it. Imagine if instead of assuming the worst, we started assuming the best. What if instead of thinking, I'll probably fail, we thought, I have just as much of a chance to succeed as anyone else? What if instead of saying, I'm not ready, we told ourselves, no one ever feels fully ready, success comes from starting anyway? These small shifts in language may seem insignificant, but they have the power to change everything. There's a reason why the most successful people in the world practice positive self-talk. It's not because they're delusional or overly confident. It's because they understand that their mindset affects their actions. When we believe in ourselves, we take risks, we show up, we keep going when things get difficult. When we doubt ourselves, we hesitate, we hold back, we quit too soon. And the truth is, the way we speak to ourselves directly impacts the way others see us. When someone walks into a room with confidence, people notice. When someone believes in what they are saying, others believe in it too. But confidence doesn't come from waiting until we feel worthy. It comes from deciding to believe in ourselves despite the doubt. Think about the people you admire, the ones who inspire you. Do you think they never had doubts? Do you think they never questioned themselves? Of course they did. The difference is they didn't let those thoughts control them. They learned to separate fear from fact. They felt the doubt, but they didn't let it stop them. One of the most powerful ways to change self-talk is through action. When we take action, even when we feel unsure, we prove to ourselves that we are capable. Confidence is not something we are born with, it is something we build, one small action at a time. The more we step outside our comfort zone, the more evidence we gather that we are stronger than our doubts. Another powerful tool is reframing. Instead of seeing challenges as proof that we are not good enough, we can see them as opportunities to grow. Instead of seeing failure as something to be ashamed of, we can see it as proof that we are trying. Every successful person has failed. Every confident person has faced doubt. The only difference is that they didn't let it define them. We must also be mindful of the words we allow into our minds, the people we surround ourselves with, the content we consume, the conversations we engage in. All of these things influence our self-talk. If we constantly hear negativity, criticism, and limitation, it will shape the way we see ourselves. But if we surround ourselves with encouragement, inspiration, and possibility, our mindset shifts. And most importantly, we must learn to speak to ourselves the way we would speak to a friend. If someone you love came to you with self-doubt, would you agree with them? Would you say, yeah, you're probably not good enough? Of course not. You would remind them of their strengths, encourage them, and help them see their potential. So why do we do the opposite to ourselves? The words we speak to ourselves matter. They shape our confidence, our actions, and our future. If we tell ourselves we are not capable, we will hesitate. If we tell ourselves we are not worthy, we will settle. But if we tell ourselves that we are strong, capable, and ready, we will step up. This is not about pretending we have no fear or doubts. It's about choosing which voice we listen to. There will always be a part of us that whispers insecurity and hesitation. But there is also a part of us that knows we are capable of more. The question is, which voice will we believe? Every day, we have a choice. We can either let doubt control us, or we can rewrite the story. We can either believe the lies that keep us small, or we can step into our true potential. The battle against negative self-talk is not won in a single moment, it is won in the small, daily decisions to believe in ourselves, to speak with kindness, and to take action even when fear tries to hold us back. Because in the end, the words we say to ourselves become the life we live. So what story are you telling yourself today? Comfort is seductive. It feels warm, familiar, and safe. It's the place where nothing challenges us, where nothing forces us to grow. And because of that, it's also the place where dreams quietly die. Every day we face a battle between comfort and growth. And every day, the easy choice is to stay where we are, to do what we know, to keep things predictable. But the easy choice is rarely the right choice. We all have things we want, goals we dream about, skills we wish we had, opportunities we hope for. And yet, when faced with the discomfort required to achieve them, we hesitate. We want to get in better shape, but waking up early to exercise is uncomfortable. We want to start that business, but taking financial risks is uncomfortable. We want to put ourselves out there, but the fear of rejection is uncomfortable. And so we stay where we are, convincing ourselves that someday we'll be ready. But someday is not a day on the calendar. Someday is just an excuse to avoid discomfort today. Growth demands discomfort. It demands that we do things before we feel ready, before we have all the answers, before we feel completely confident. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who had everything figured out before they started. They are the ones who started despite the uncertainty. They are the ones who embraced the discomfort because they knew that on the other side of it was something greater. The problem is that our brains are wired for safety. We are programmed to seek out comfort and avoid pain, to stay in environments that feel familiar, to repeat behaviors that don't challenge us. This was useful when survival depended on avoiding danger, but today the danger isn't a predator in the wild, it's the slow decay of potential that comes from never pushing ourselves beyond what we already know. The brain doesn't distinguish between real threats and imagined ones, so the fear of failure, embarrassment, or discomfort triggers the same avoidance mechanisms as actual danger. But discomfort is not danger. Discomfort is growth in disguise. Every new skill, every breakthrough, every transformation begins with a period of discomfort. Think about the first time you tried to learn something new, maybe a sport, a musical instrument, or a new language. At first it felt awkward, frustrating, and unnatural, but with time, effort, and persistence, what once felt difficult became second nature. The discomfort didn't last forever, but the growth did. This is why the most important decisions in life are the ones that push us beyond our comfort zones. The decision to speak up when it would be easier to stay quiet. The decision to take a risk when it would be easier to play it safe. The decision to step into something unknown instead of clinging to what is familiar. These moments define who we become. But the truth is, most people avoid these decisions. They choose comfort over courage. They stay in jobs they hate because finding a new one is uncomfortable. They settle for unfulfilling relationships because leaving is uncomfortable. They avoid learning new skills because struggling through the learning process is uncomfortable. And over time, they build a life that feels safe but also small, predictable, and uninspired. The most dangerous thing about comfort is that it doesn't feel like a problem until it's too late. A person who avoids discomfort for a week doesn't notice much difference. A person who avoids discomfort for a month starts to feel stuck. A person who avoids discomfort for years wakes up one day wondering why their life doesn't excite them anymore. The habits we build today determine the life we live tomorrow. If we want to create a life of purpose, impact, and fulfillment, we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to reframe discomfort not as something to avoid, but as a sign that we are on the right path. When we feel resistance, when we feel fear, when we feel discomfort, that is when we know we are growing. The goal is not to eliminate discomfort. The goal is to learn to move forward despite it. One of the best ways to do this is to start small. If we wait for the big life-changing moments to force us out of our comfort zones, we will always feel overwhelmed. But if we build the habit of stepping into discomfort in small ways every day, we develop the resilience to handle the bigger challenges when they come. Say yes to opportunities even when you feel unqualified. Have conversations that feel difficult. Take on projects that stretch your abilities. Do things that scare you, even in small ways, because each time you do, you build the muscle of courage. Another powerful strategy is to shift the way we talk about discomfort. Instead of saying, "This is hard, I don't like this," say, "This is making me stronger." Instead of thinking, "I'm nervous, that means I shouldn't do it," think, "I'm nervous, that means it matters." Our words shape our mindset, and our mindset determines whether we push forward or shrink back. We must also surround ourselves with people who challenge us. Comfort is contagious. If we spend time with people who always play it safe, we will start to believe that staying comfortable is the right thing to do. But if we surround ourselves with people who are constantly pushing themselves, taking risks, and embracing growth, we will be inspired to do the same. The people we spend time with either push us forward or hold us back. Choose wisely. And finally, we must remember that discomfort is temporary, but the rewards are lasting. The pain of stepping outside our comfort zone fades, but the growth it creates stays with us forever. No one looks back on their life and feels proud of the moments they played it safe. We feel proud of the moments we took a leap, even when we were scared. We feel proud of the times we struggled but kept going. We feel proud of the risk we took that led to something bigger than we imagined. So the question is not whether we will face discomfort, it's whether we will let it stop us. Because on the other side of that discomfort is everything we are capable of becoming. And the only way to get there is to step forward, even when it feels hard, even when it feels scary, even when it would be easier to stay where we are. The battle between comfort and growth is a daily one. And every day we have a choice. Stay where we are, or take a step forward. Settle for what is easy, or push toward what is possible. The choice is ours. But the ones who win this battle, the ones who choose growth over comfort, are the ones who build lives that inspire not only themselves, but everyone around them. Because when one person steps into their potential, they give others permission to do the same. And that is how real change happens, not just in our own lives, but in the world. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will agree with your decisions. And that's okay. The need for approval is a silent battle we all fight, whether we realize it or not. It starts early when we are children. We seek validation from parents, teachers, and friends. We learn that approval brings acceptance, and acceptance makes us feel safe. But as we grow, that need for validation becomes a trap. It keeps us from making bold choices, from pursuing what truly matters to us, because we are too afraid of what others might think. The desire to be liked is deeply ingrained in us. It's a survival instinct. Historically, being part of a tribe meant protection, and being cast out meant danger. That instinct hasn't disappeared, it has simply evolved. Today, instead of fearing exile, we fear judgment. We fear criticism. We fear being different. And so we conform. We shape our choices around what is acceptable, what is praised, what is safe. But the price of that safety is our authenticity. The most successful and fulfilled people in the world are not the ones who sought approval from everyone. They are the ones who chose their own path, even when it was unpopular. They are the ones who understood that trying to please everyone is a game that cannot be won. No matter what we do, someone will always disagree. Someone will always criticize. Someone will always have an opinion. The real question is, will we let those opinions dictate our lives? The need for approval can be paralyzing. It makes us second-guess ourselves, hesitate, and overanalyze. We start asking, what will they think? Will they approve? Will they support me? And just like that, we hand over control of our lives to people who are not living them. But here's the truth. The people who are most critical of others are often the ones who are too afraid to take risks themselves. Their judgment is not about you, it's about them. It's a reflection of their own fears, insecurities, and limitations. Think about the people you admire, the innovators, the creators, the leaders. Do you think they got to where they are by worrying about what others thought? Do you think they waited for permission? No, they acted. They took risks. They made decisions that others questioned, but they moved forward anyway. Because they understood that seeking approval is a distraction. Every moment spent trying to win validation is a moment not spent building, creating, and making an impact. One of the biggest dangers of seeking approval is that it leads to compromise, not the kind of compromise that fosters teamwork, but the kind that waters down your vision. When we are constantly adjusting to fit expectations, we lose the sharp edges that make us unique. We start making decisions based on what is acceptable instead of what is right. We say yes when we should say no. We follow paths that feel safe instead of those that feel true. And before we know it, we are living a version of life that pleases others but does not fulfill us. Breaking free from the need for approval is not about being rebellious for the sake of it. It's not about ignoring advice or rejecting feedback. It's about knowing the difference between external validation and internal fulfillment. It's about realizing that no amount of approval from others can replace self-respect. The moment we stop looking for permission is the moment we take ownership of our lives. One of the most powerful ways to overcome this need is to shift our focus. Instead of asking, what will people think? We must ask, what do I think? What do I want? What feels right for me? This shift puts the power back in our hands. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones who have to live with our choices. The people whose approval we seek, they are not the ones who wake up in our shoes, who carry the weight of our decisions, who feel the regret of roads not taken. That is on us. Another key strategy is surrounding ourselves with the right people. There will always be critics, but there will also be those who understand us, who challenge us to be better, who push us to grow. These are the voices worth listening to. These are the people who do not demand our conformity, but encourage our authenticity. The wrong environment can make us feel like we need to shrink, to fit in, to be less than we are. The right environment makes us feel like we can expand, take risks, and be unapologetically ourselves. It's also important to redefine success. Too often we measure our success based on external validation, likes, praise, recognition. But real success is internal. It's the quiet confidence of knowing we stayed true to ourselves. It's the satisfaction of knowing we made choices that aligned with our values even when they were unpopular. It's the peace of mind that comes from not needing constant approval because we trust ourselves. There will be moments of doubt. There will be times when we question whether we are making the right decision, when the disapproval of others stings. But those moments are part of the process. Every great leader, artist, entrepreneur, every person who has ever done something meaningful has faced resistance. The difference is that they didn't let it stop them. One of the greatest freedoms in life is realizing that we do not need permission. We do not need everyone to understand our path. We do not need approval to pursue what matters to us. Because the reality is, even if we do everything right, even if we follow all the expectations, there will still be people who disapprove. So if judgment is inevitable, why not be judged for doing something that matters? The battle against the need for approval is not won in a single moment. It is won in the small choices we make every day, the choice to trust our instincts, to take action despite fear, to pursue what excites us even when it confuses others. It is won when we stop apologizing for who we are and start embracing our own path with confidence. Because in the end, the people who truly matter, the ones who respect us, support us, and believe in us will not demand our approval seeking. They will celebrate our courage. They will admire our authenticity. And the rest. The critics, the skeptics, the ones who do not understand, they were never the ones we were living for in the first place. So the question is not whether people will approve of your choices. The question is whether you will approve of yourself. Because the moment you decide that your own approval is enough, that is the moment you become unstoppable. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think it's about restriction, about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. But real discipline is not about punishment, it's about freedom. The freedom to create the life you want. The freedom to follow through on your commitments. The freedom to build something meaningful instead of settling for mediocrity. And yet, every day we battle against the urge to take the easy way out, to procrastinate, to delay the things we know will make us better. The problem isn't that we don't know what to do. Most people know what it takes to be healthier, more successful, more fulfilled. The problem is that we don't do it consistently, wait for motivation, hoping for the perfect moment to start. But motivation is unreliable. It's fleeting. It shows up when things are exciting, but disappears when things get hard. And this is where most people fail. They assume that successful people are more motivated, that they have some endless well of energy that keeps them going. But that's not true. Successful people are not the most motivated, they are the most disciplined. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. It's what separates those who dream from those who execute. It's waking up early to work on your goals even when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to distractions, even when they are tempting. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. And the people who understand this, who treat discipline as a daily practice rather than a rare burst of effort, are the ones who achieve extraordinary things. But discipline is not something you either have or don't have. It's something you build. And like any skill, it starts small. The mistake most people make is trying to overhaul their entire life at once. They set unrealistic goals, waking up at 5 a.m. every day, working out for 2 hours, reading 5 books a month. And then when they inevitably miss a day or fall short, they give up entirely. But discipline doesn't work that way. It's not about grand gestures, it's about small, consistent actions. It's about showing up every day, even if just for a few minutes, because the habit of showing up is more important than the intensity of the effort. The key to building discipline is understanding that it's not about willpower, it's about systems. If you rely on willpower alone, you will fail. Willpower is a limited resource. It runs out when you're tired, when you're stressed, when life gets in the way. But if you have systems in place, you don't need to rely on willpower. You don't need to decide every day whether or not to take action. You just do it because it's part of your routine. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up and wonder if you're motivated to do it. You just do it because it's a habit. That's how discipline works. The most disciplined people don't constantly fight with themselves over whether or not to take action. They create routines that make discipline automatic. One of the best ways to build discipline is through identity. Instead of saying, I want to exercise more, say, I am the kind of person who takes care of my body. Instead of saying, I want to be more productive, say, I am the kind of person who follows through on my commitments. When you see yourself as a disciplined person, your actions start to align with that identity. You don't just try, you embody the behavior, but even with the best systems, discipline will still be a battle. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up. There will be days when you are tired, distracted, or unmotivated. And in those moments, the question is not, do I feel like doing this? The question is, what kind of person do I want to be? Because the truth is, discipline is not about what you do when you feel good. It's about what you do when you don't feel like it. The challenge most people face is the belief that discipline is painful. They associate it with sacrifice, with missing out. But the truth is, the lack of discipline is what leads to real pain. The pain of regret. The pain of missed opportunities. The pain of knowing you could have done more but didn't. Discipline might be hard in the moment, but the alternative, a life where you constantly fall short of your potential, is much harder. The biggest misconception about discipline is that it means saying no to things. But real discipline is about saying yes to your goals, to your growth, to the future you want to create. It's about making choices today that your future self will thank you for. It's about recognizing that every small action, every decision, every moment of self-control adds up. And here's the thing, the more disciplined you become, the less effort it takes. At first, it feels like a battle. You have to push yourself, remind yourself, fight the urge to quit. But over time, discipline becomes who you are. It becomes automatic. The first few weeks of building a habit are hard, but once the habit is in place, it becomes effortless. And that's when the magic happens. This is why some people seem to have an unshakable work ethic, a relentless drive. It's not because they are superhuman, it's because they built the habit of discipline. They no longer have to convince themselves to take action. They just do it, because that's what they do. So how do you win this battle every day? Start small. Pick one thing, just one, and commit to doing it consistently. It could be waking up 15 minutes earlier, drinking more water, writing for 5 minutes a day. The action itself doesn't matter as much as the habit of following through. Once you prove to yourself that you can be disciplined in one area, that discipline spreads. Next, eliminate unnecessary decisions. Decision fatigue is real. The more choices you have to make, the harder it is to stay disciplined. This is why some of the most successful people wear the same outfit every day or eat the same breakfast. It's not about the outfit, it's about reserving mental energy for things that matter. Simplify your life so that discipline becomes easier. And most importantly, stop negotiating with yourself. The moment you start debating whether or not to take action, you've already lost. Don't give yourself an out. When it's time to work, work. When it's time to train, train. When it's time to show up, show up. The people who accomplish great things are not the ones who feel like it every day. They are the ones who do it regardless. Every day there is a battle between discipline and distraction, between action and avoidance. The easy path is always available. The excuses will always be there. But so will the opportunity to build something meaningful, to create the life you want, to become the person you were meant to be. And the difference between the people who win and the people who don't, it's not talent. It's not luck, it's discipline, the willingness to do the work, to stay consistent, to keep going even when it's hard. The battle against inconsistency, procrastination, and distraction is never ending. But so is the reward. Because in the end, discipline is not about sacrifice. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just talk about their goals, but actually achieves them.